Don't talk. Don't move. Don't leave your bed. 3 very simple rules. 3 rules I should have listened to. You see, the house I live in is strange. Items are never in the same place twice. A certain chill resonates down your spine, and a woman comes around at 12 a.m. every single night. My parents recently bought this house. Nothing would seem out of the ordinary. The neighbors are very nice people. The house is spacious enough, and it was practically a steal. My parents jumped on the buy as soon as it went up for sale. And now I know why it was on sale in the first place. The previous owners seemed spooked, for lack of better words. They were in a rush to move, and they sold it almost immediately to my parents. They wouldn't say much about the house when I was around, but just when no one thought I was listening, they would talk. They shared every last detail in a seriousness I've never heard before. Now, I wouldn't say my family are big believers in the unexplained, but this seemed to hit them like a sack of bricks. I thought they were crazy. That they just liked to tell stories for the fun of it. But then, they never looked like they were joking. It never looked made up. And so, the new rules were implemented on me. I didn't take them too seriously. Why would I? I go to bed at 10 p.m. anyways, and besides, what would an old woman do anyways? I laughed at the thought, but to appease my parents, I never left my bed at night. The days were fine. I went to school as usual, made friends, and hung out at the corner between Billy's Auto and Cliffy's Shoe. I made friends fast because summer was barreling down on me fast, and I was determined to not be labeled as the lonely kid. The neighborhood was fairly safe, so me and a few friends would always take our bikes and any pocket money we had, ride down to the corner, and play cards. The one that stuck out to me most though was Philip. In the short 2 months I've lived here, he was the one that stuck to me fastest. Mostly because we were interested in the same things. Girls, cards, and other similar things. Needless to say, we were best friends. My bike tire treaded along the faded, split pavement as Philip and Julia jammered on about something or other. Do you two ever shut up? I joked. Oh, stop it. Julia deadpanned. Philip did a bunny hop with his bike. Jack, you got any gum? I took one hand off the handlebar of my dark blue BMX and patted down my pockets. Nah, but I've got leftover wintergreen. Philip scrunched his face up and shot me a weird look. No thanks. I still can't believe you chew that stuff. It'll ruin your teeth, you know. Yeah, then you'll definitely scare people away with your missing teeth, and you'll wonder why you're still lonely at 45. Julia chimed in, laughing as she took both hands off of her handlebars to balance no-handed. I scoffed and stood up to pedal faster. Fuck off. Both of you. I gotta spend my card money on something. I grumbled. Soon, the alley came into view, and the 3 of us stopped, our tires hissing at us. We didn't bother to use kickstands as we rushed deeper into the alley where 2 other kids were waiting. A boy and a girl. Good you're here. I can finally kick your asses now. The girl said. Right, like your win streak isn't totally crushed into the dirt, Kayla. I said. She opened her mouth to retort, but the boy sitting next to her, Michael, cleared his throat. Just sit down and throw your money in. We each threw about $5 to $10 in the middle of the circle we formed and waited for our cards to be dealt. What game are we playing today? Philip asked. Michael furrowed a brow as he focused on shuffling. 31. Ever played it? We all gave approving hums and joked around until the brown-haired dealer was done. We each had 3 cards dealt to us and 3 placed facing up in the middle for all to see. Julia, being on the right of Michael, started us off by swapping all 3 of her cards out. I looked at my cards, a Jack of Hearts, an 8 of Hearts, and a 3 of Spades. 18 isn't a great start, and I definitely need that winning money for a new bike. Soon, it was my turn, and I looked at the 3 cards down in front. I instantly had the King of Hearts just waiting for me to take, so I did. Great! 28 is a good enough score. So, Jack, I've heard rumors about your house that it's haunted. Is it true? Kayla asked. I laughed and watched Philip take his turn, ending the round. If you want an honest answer, yes it is. It's not like anything you see on TV, no, things just get moved around, and it always feels like someone is right next to you, walking with you. We all flipped our cards to reveal our scores. Michael let out a string of curses as he realized he lost with a score of 21. Shit, I was counting on that money, he exclaimed, taking all the cards to shuffle again, huffing as he did so. We laughed at him as he grumbled like a child, forced to eat their vegetables. Julia humored me and raised a brow. What about the woman that comes around during the night? Didn't the previous owners move out because of her? I snorted as I picked up the freshly dealt cards. Apparently, but I haven't seen her, and I guess I'm not supposed to. My parents said that if I'm awake when she comes around, I need to stay quiet, don't move, and don't leave my bed. Philip chuckled and swapped out a 6 of diamonds for a 10 of spades. Sounds like a bunch of bullshit. It is, I said, taking a king of clovers in replacement of a 7 of hearts. That's when Michael, who was sitting off to the side, as to not get in the way of the game, perked up and grinned. Why don't you get proof? I mean, you say she's not real, but what if she is? I thought about it, and an uneasy pit started in my stomach. I don't know why, but I didn't like it. I don't know, guys, my parents aren't too fond of that woman. Philip laughed. Have your parents even seen her? Well, no, but exactly, Michael's right. We could get proof of her and debunk her down to just an old hag. Or are you actually scared, like a wuss? I sighed. I still had a boiling uneasy feeling, but I didn't want them to think I'm scared of someone who's probably not real. I jabbed Philip in the side. Fine, but you're coming with me. Perfect. He grinned. Philip and I walked into my house, which instantly gave me the chills. Mom? I'm home. My mom came out of the kitchen with a rag draped over her shoulder. She had a soft smile and caring eyes. Oh, sweetheart, you brought a friend? Yeah, his name's Philip. Can he stay for the night? I asked, crossing my fingers for luck. My mom went stiff as her breath caught. She walked over to us, her eyes still somewhat soft. Do your parents know, honey? She asked him. He nodded with a smile. Yup. I'm green-lit for the night. She exhaled and ushered him towards the dining table. Then she looked at me with a hand on my shoulder. She squeezed it tight. Do not stay up past 12. Do you hear me? I felt the unease rush back up my throat. I don't know if it was her grip or her momentous glare, but my palms became sweaty, and a lump formed in my esophagus. I swallowed thickly and plastered on an easy smile. Mom, you can trust me, okay? She let go of my shoulder and sighed, rubbing her temple. Yes, of course I can. I'm just being paranoid. I mean, who even knows if she's real, right? She chuffed a laugh and walked back into the kitchen. I joined Philip and waited with him. Soon, my dad joined us, and the 4 of us ate dinner and talked about mundane things. I grumbled about losing at cards while Philip laughed at my expense. Both of us ate dinner pretty quick so we would have time to mess around before that night. After our plates were whisked away, we dashed to my room. Do you know the history on this woman? Philip asked, sitting down at the foot of my bed. I shrugged, sitting down on a red beanbag I had in the corner of my room. Only that she's been around a while and scared away all the tenants that lived here. I took off my jacket and stretched out over the beanbag. I guess she comes around pleading for help, and if you so much as breathe too loud, she comes for you. Philip seemed to mull over the information as his brow furrowed in thought. So what if we record her? Like just prove she's a deranged old woman and get her sent away? I mean, what is she going to do? She'd pop a hip trying to get us. I laughed at the thought and nodded. It doesn't sound like a bad idea, actually. I sat up and popped my back. So wanna play on my console or something? Philip stretched his arms out above his head. Yeah, start it up. We gamed for a few hours until it was about 10 p.m. My dad knocked on the door and opened it a crack. Boys? Yeah, Dad? He stepped in. You might want to head to bed soon, he said, giving me a hard look. I groaned. We will, Dad. No need to stroke out. He huffed and crossed his arms. Don't give me that. Just go to bed soon, all right? Okay. All right, good night both of you. We said our good nights, and I could feel the anticipation in my veins. I was still heavily uneasy, but that's normal, right? A chill ran down my spine, shaking me to my core. It felt different. Nothing physically changed, but an atmosphere was thickly lying down on us. Philip, you feel that? Philip craned his neck over in my direction. Feel what? Are you going crazy? I blew it off as I shook my head. Nothing, forget it. What's the time? He reached in his pocket to fish out his phone. 10:36. We've got some time, wanna hop back on the game? Now let's just chill. 1 hour and a half was all it took. Just 1 hour and a half. My heart was thumping so loud I was sure that Philip could hear it. Midnight struck as Philip pulled out his phone to record. It was dark, the only light being my phone flashlight. My stomach was to my knees as, almost instantly, a woman came out of nowhere. But she didn't look normal. She was hunched over, had black eyes, scraggly gray hair, and her skin. Oh God, her skin. What was left of it was a discolored gray. It was falling off in chunks as her talon-like fingernails beat on my window. She wore no clothes, and her bones were visible in spotty blotches. Help! Help me! He's coming! She screamed. Her voice was otherworldly. It was as if someone distorted a dying dog's yelp. Philip and I were frozen. My heart thumped in my ears as the blood rushed to my head. Philip's long-forgotten phone clattered to the ground as we stood, shocked. What the hell? I stammered, unable to breathe. Philip seemed to regain his senses because he clenched his fist. Hey woman! Get the fuck out of here! You hear me? Leave! He yelled, his voice bouncing off the walls in a panicked rasp. The woman stopped beating on the window and grinned maliciously. She took a talon and put it up to her lips in a shush motion. Shush! She blew out. Instantly, Philip's mouth was forcibly closed, and he started choking. His face went beet red as he clawed at his throat, trying to cough or scream or something. He wouldn't say a thing. He fell to his knees, choking. The veins in his neck popped out, and his face was terribly red. I tried to scream or move, but I couldn't. This invisible force was holding me still. My eyes flickered to the woman as she laughed so maniacally that her distortion rang through the surrounding trees as she doubled over. Tears freely flowed down my face like a broken faucet. I couldn't speak. I tried to thrash around and move something, anything. But no matter my efforts, I wouldn't budge. Then Philip dropped. No more struggle, no more coughing, no more of anything. He was dead. I wanted to scream, cry, and vomit as I looked at the sadistic woman smiling. Then she winked at me and snapped her finger. It went impossibly dark. When I was able to see again, it was broad daylight. I was laying on my bed, and I had a raging headache. I sat and wondered for a second. I could almost pass everything off as a horrible nightmare. Almost. I saw the shine of a phone on the floor. I got up and picked it up to inspect it. Philip. It was undoubtedly his phone. The lock screen displayed him and me. Events of the night before rushed back in uncaring spurts that shook me again. I couldn't breathe. Everything was in a haze as my blood started to pump again. I ran out of my room, stumbling out on the hallway wall. Mom. Dad. Please. I begged, breaths ripping in and out. My mom and dad rushed into the hallway and gasped at me. Jack. Jack, honey, what's wrong? My mom asked, putting her arms onto my shoulders. My dad stood next to her, worried eyes trailing me up and down. I heaved for air, saliva running down my chin. I'm sorry. Mom, please, I'm sorry. I cried into her chest. Sorry for what? What did you do? My dad asked. Philip and I looked at the woman, and now he's dead. My mom pulled away from me to look me in the eyes. Honey, who's Philip? I sniffled, snot shooting back up my nose. What? My parents shared uneased glances. Jack, who's Philip? My mom asked again. My head twisted as confusion bubbled up. You met him last night. He's my best friend. No, Jack, we know no one by that name. Are you feeling all right? My dad put his hand to my forehead. I jerked away, looking between them. My vision spun, and nothing was making sense. I ran back into my room, slammed the door shut, and locked it. I fell to my knees and cried. My throat burned and my eyes felt stiff and sore. Philip was real. Philip is real. He had to be. But then, where did he go? He just vanished with that thing. Whatever that thing was, she definitely wasn't human. I pulled out my phone and sent rapid texts to all of my friends, asking about Philip. All of them gave me similar answers. Who the fuck is Philip? Every single one of them asked. I threw my phone against the wall in a fit of rage. How had they suddenly just forgotten my best friend? I was slumped against the walls, exhausted. My head fell to my knees as I fell asleep. That leads me to now. It's been 2 days since the incident. I'm still hoping that Philip will reappear one night. But every time, the woman comes, and she just sits and laughs for hours. Then, as quickly as she came, she leaves even faster. Whatever she did to Philip was grotesque, and I wish to say to all of you, never look at the woman in the window.